I'm Alessandra Barrett, Special Projects Editor for the Journal of Commerce. I'm at our 14th annual TPM conference in Long Beach, California, and I'm joined by Neil Barni, President and Founder of CargoSphere. Thanks for speaking with me this morning, Neil.
Thanks for having me, Alessandra.
What freight rate and contract management challenges is the industry facing? What's CargoSphere doing to address these challenges?
Alessandra, we've had a solitary focus on rates. Pricing is really our passion, and it has been for over a dozen years. Our philosophy really has been to solve the problem with technology. Early in the company's development, 12, 13 years ago, it was really tempting to move more towards a services-oriented model. The technology was new, and of course we wanted to grow our business as quickly as possible. We had concerns, though, that a services orientation would really dilute our core focus. And the core focus had to be to really break down every element of rate management into its discrete elements, of which there are many, and really apply a technology that would make sense to the users and make their jobs simply easier and give them the tools necessary to be successful and drive profitability for their companies. We had a slow going in the early days because we really emphasized research and development. And that philosophy, solve it with technology, really drove all of our decisions, our development decisions. And it's really bared out quite well here in the recent years as our growth accelerates now, because we have a really great relationship with the clients, and the technology has really matured. A great example of that would be SUDS. In fact, here at the conference we have a promotional item here, CargoSphere, SUDS, scrub it with SUDS. And the message is, if you've got messy rate data, scrub it with SUDS. We're hoping we're getting a laugh here and there, and have given this out to everybody at the conference. But the underlying message is that with our collaborative rate network, we really need an on-ramp to this superhighway. A bridge to the future. And SUDS, which stands for Smart Upload and Diagnostic Solution, is really a means by which these rates that I described earlier in these static formats can be extracted through a series of algorithms and heuristics and converted into dynamic rate data. And it's very exciting technology. As an example, in terms of adoption, we've seen over 6,000 SUDS processing events. That means you can call it an import, since we launched SUDS here about 6 months ago. Now with SUDS, we made a philosophical decision that really was an acknowledgement that we really needed to be flexible in terms of the current state of technology in the industry and the way that rates are managed, these static file documents, and the way they're distributed currently. So rather than try to create some sort of template standard of our own, that would be unrealistic in terms of the adoption of that by the carrier community and the NVOs and BCOs, we decided that we would create something that worked more like, say, a universal translator, where we flexed to those technologies and created this on-ramp to the collaborative superhighway. And we're very excited about the prospects here to acknowledge this current standard and find our way forward into a very collaborative future. Another important tenet that we follow is in the development of the architecture. We really believe we have a thoughtful architecture that's been created over many, many years, a dozen years of trial and error, and we believe that the elegance of the architecture is really meaningful in the way that our clients can utilize this technology and drive their businesses. And this means that if they can do rate searches in seconds and they can do rate updates in minutes, we've really moved the ball forward from where it was here in the past years. A little bit earlier I talked about how rates are structured and how they don't move together. So with our architecture, our clients are able to know on any given day they can walk across that track that we talked about, and they can know exactly what a rate is. And it's been acknowledged by the industry that a full 25 to, say, 1/3 of all invoices are inaccurate in the space. It's frankly a tremendous problem in the industry, and it's been acknowledged as so. But we think that the efforts to solve this have maybe been a little bit misplaced. For us, the resolution of this, the way to address it, is really upstream in terms of rate management. So if everybody is looking at the same agreed upon rate, then it must be right. And we call that a single source of truth. It's really a database term, but we've applied it to our business model. And that really takes me to the third major element that I'd like to discuss today, which is our rate network, the rate mesh. It's our collaborative rate superhighway, and we believe it is rate distribution for the 21st century. Now, yes, it is a little bit like social networking for rates, but in this case, it's confidential. I see you smiling there, Alessandra, and obviously it does sound like some other models that we're all well aware of in the industry, but really we started over 12 years ago. And it was started as a means to allow people to collaborate on rates, but have their own deployment of our software and solution branded for their own purposes. So what we do is, by a process of mutual authorization, we connect parties for collaboration over the rate network. And it just is driving incredible efficiencies around the world. We currently have over 3,000 contracts being distributed from party to party over the rate mesh. I'd like to say it's growing virally, and we're really excited about the future prospects. One last thing I would like to talk about today, I would be remiss if I didn't discuss our clients, so the customers themselves. We greatly admire and respect our clientele. They're hardworking business professionals. I'd like to say that we have been in this sort of dance with our clients for over 12 years in which we build one feature that we think they're going to like and then one feature that they've asked for. And this has created a very exciting kind of feedback loop for us in the development of the product, and it's a great way for us to retain our clients, to show them that we respect their views. And along those lines, we're going to have our first ever user conference here in the coming fall in September. We'll all be in Chicago, and maybe we'll actually have a chance to literally dance with our customers here in September.
How does this fit into the company's overall strategy for the future?
You know, our future prospects, we believe, are very bright, and we do see our role as being critical in terms of an infrastructure play and our opportunity to really be the backbone of rate collaboration, distribution, and even rate negotiation in the coming years. We see the distribution changing from the static files of 2014 to interactive, more real-time distribution of rates, and we're really excited to be a part of that in the coming years ahead.
Well, thanks again for taking time from the conference. It's a very complicated aspect of the industry, and I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to sort of walk us through this.
Thank you so much, Alessandra.
I've been speaking with Neil Barni, President and Founder of CargoSphere.